So the microphone on the Blackshark V3 Pro sounds incredible. Definitely one of the best in class, both in wireless and covering the wired space as well. So naturally, I bet you want to hear how it compares versus the new Blackshark V3 Pro. And you gotta let me know what you hear in terms of the quality difference with the V3 Pro, because everything Razer tells us involves around next-gen audio, bigger is better, improvements here and there in both the audio department and the microphone department as well. The microphone is now bigger at 12 millimeters versus 9.9 on the V2 Pro. The foam cover is larger too, but I prefer not to use it because the microphone just becomes ginormous and is like eyesore in your peripheral vision. The other physical difference is the end cap, which means you cannot swap out the microphones. And I was so excited to swap out this microphone and put it on the old V2 Pro just to see if the microphone still sounds good, but you can't. They're not reversible. It is unfortunate that we don't have backwards compatibility, but it also kind of makes sense because the new microphone has much larger bandwidth at 48 kilohertz versus the 32 kilohertz that was available on the V2 Pro. Just for fun, here's the Fractal Design Scape headset. I'm also in the process of reviewing this thing, but just seeing how much marketing Razer's pushing towards advertising the microphone quality and the boost in the microphone capsule on the V3 Pro, the Scape, not so much marketing on the microphone department. It's cool that it's detachable. You can mute it in 5,000 different ways, but in terms of the actual audio quality, let me know which one you like better in the comments below. I think it's pretty clear. The microphone on the V2 Pro just sounds way better, has deeper bass, cleaner highs, and just feels like there's more resolution on the V2 Pro, despite the V3 Pro having 33% more bandwidth. I've been going back and forth with Razer, and they've shared with me their new microphone equalizer that I've just enabled that's supposed to kind of solve the issues, but I just feel like it kills a lot of the low-end pickup, and it just makes the high end slightly harsher. They are rolling out firmware updates for the V3 Pros, specifically for the equalizer settings, and it just shows that despite how good the microphone might be on paper, it really comes down to tuning that microphone, which I think Razer did a fantastic job with the V2 Pro, which might have been an accident, because if they cannot recreate it for a supposedly better microphone, then we have a problem. Now let's talk simultaneous audio, 2.4 gigahertz and Bluetooth.
Simultaneous audio.
The V3 Pro finally has it, and credit where it's due, Razer pulled the W. There's no separate power button for Bluetooth, but once the headset is on, just double tap the SmartSwitch and you can cycle through 2.4 gigahertz, Bluetooth, or simultaneous playback. It even remembers your last setting after a power cycle, so if you were just using it for Bluetooth turning it on, it's going to connect to your phone or your other Bluetooth device. It's not going to automatically connect to a 2.4 gigahertz signal unless you are using that at the same time, which is super nice. There's also a voice prompt that clearly tells you which mode you're on. It all works just fine, but here's the catch. Coming from the SteelSeries Arctic Snow Pro Wireless with its dedicated power button for the Bluetooth signal, the Razer implementation feels a little bit more clunky. And if you don't read the manual for the V3 Pro, I mean, good luck. There's no information in Synapse on how to enable Bluetooth or how to run simultaneous audio.
Simultaneous audio.
So Razer kind of dropped the ball here at the same time. It's not as intuitive as it should be, and my hair is absolutely crazy. Now, Razer advertises 4 modes of connectivity, 2 wired, 2 wireless, but there are some caveats sprinkled around there. You can still use the headset in USB mode while it's charging on your PC. You can use USB-C to the 3.5mm cable for broader analog compatibility. But, and this is very important, any wired connection overrides any wireless signal, including Bluetooth. So no, you cannot have a wired connection to your PC while also having the headset connected to your phone. You also have to make sure the headset is powered off when you're using the 3.5mm analog connection, because otherwise there's nothing piping here, and it's still connected to my dongle and my phone for Bluetooth, but I am using the cable, so it doesn't override the wireless signal. I do get a sense that Razer has improved the build quality versus the V2 Pro. The stitching on the headband, for example, is way more precise. They've improved the tactility of the main volume wheel. The exposed cable is beefier, and the extension mechanism is now even instead of just getting stuck on one of the sides. That said, nothing touches what Fractal is doing with the Scape headset, because the size extensions and how much density and force is required to open them is like a mechanical marvel. It's gorgeous. Seriously, what's with my hair? Comfort's definitely been improved on the V3 Pro with ear cups that have a little bit of swivel to have better fitment. The interior of the ear cups has thicker padding with clearly visible left and right markings. The clamping force is just fine. It's snug enough without being overly tight. It works just fine with glasses, no major complaints here, but I don't like this USB-C to 3.5mm cable. It creates so much cable noise, just brushing against the shirt, all that annoying sound is sent directly into the ear cup. Not cool, man, not cool. It is a slightly heavier headset versus the V2 Pro, but you don't necessarily feel it. It does remind me of a Blackshark on my head. It's a weird sentence. The only weak spot is this ear pad material. It can breathe just fine, there's no skin irritation, but personally, I just don't like how it feels on my skin. I'm in my 30s, I sleep on a silk pillowcase, and I feel like we deserve better for gaming headsets too. Okay. Feels the same as the V3 Pro. Now that's what I'm talking about. It's fake leather, but it's smooth. Just smooth! This would not be my first choice of a wireless headset for VR purposes, just because the housing around the ear cups is a little too bulky to create a good seal. The design of the Pro X2 Lightspeed is way more suitable for VR purposes. It just kind of snugs around the frame of the VR headset and it's perfect. The Arctis Nova Pro Wireless is even better in that regard just because it's slightly smaller and it allows the headset to go perfectly around the VR headset and create a really good seal. I would say even the Void V2 from Corsair is slightly more comfortable and forgiving when placed on top of bulky VR headset. The Fractal Scape is also slightly more friendly for VR purposes versus the Razer. I mean, it's not horrible, but it would not be my first choice. We do have additional controls on the V3 Pro. We have a dial and the ANC button. ANC is very clear. We have on, off, and ambient, which is awesome. And this dial that can control a few things. Mic side tone volume. We have a footsteps enhancer if you're using this with Synapse, and it also controls the chat/game mixer volume. It is very strange how limited this wheel is. You cannot customize it beyond those three functionalities. Honestly, this is my favorite implementation of ANC on a gaming headset yet, because it's not aggressive, but it does generally tend to lower the noise floor in your environment. So like distant highways are going to be muted. Your AC running in the background is going to be perfectly inaudible. It's not going to necessarily eliminate like honking outside or something dropping in your space or somebody yelling upstairs or something, but it does generally tend to mellow out the environment so you can be really kind of focused on your gameplay. I also love the inclusion of ambient mode. And it's not like wearing an open style headset, but it does generally bring slightly more audible awareness to your physical environment. For example, I really dislike mic side tone on the V3 Pro. It just sounds horrible. So disabling mic side tone and enabling ambient mode allows me to hear my speech slightly better and just a way more comfortable audio experience overall. If I want to hear myself speak, that is. Otherwise, I have ANC on enabled pretty much all the time. Another major physical difference versus the V2 Pro are interchangeable side plates. This is useless out of the box because we don't have any additional plates included, but you will be able to purchase esports faceplates separately, you know, to support your favorite teams or something. They are magnetic and very easy to install. There's no way to confuse it. It only goes in one way. Weirdly, I have been experiencing way more. This is very weird. I was just recording with the microphone on my main computer and the headset just shut off. Why did you shut off? You're being used. Which is actually the perfect segue into talking about all the issues I've encountered with the V3 Pro. On my gaming machine, when I have the ultra low latency toggled on, for some reason the microphone becomes really distorted and unpleasant and unusable. On my gaming machine, ultra low latency toggle enabled. On other computers, it's working just fine. And I tried all different USB ports and it just seems to be like an isolated issue to my gaming machine only. Then I would have these weird issues with some games where the audio would not be coming into the headset. The headset is seen by the game, by Windows, everything is fine in Synapse, but there was no audio coming through. In the morning it would be working, in the afternoon it wouldn't. It was very frustrating trying to figure that out, even after a restart, unplugging and replugging it, while other headsets worked just fine. So I know this was an issue with the V3 Pro in particular. Now, despite all the flaws, the audio quality has been drastically improved versus the V2 Pro. I actually only used the V2 Pro for comms and like on meetings and stuff. I never really used it for games. I can comfortably use the V3 Pro for games. It's kind of on par with my Pro X2 Lightspeed for my Nova Pro Wireless, and you don't feel like something's missing. Like there's a good enough balance in terms of having clarity, but it's not harsh, having bass, but it's not muddy. So it's a very well-rounded headset in that regard. It doesn't have that much soundstage. It's kind of narrow, which I find to be just fine, especially for games that require, critical listening and critical pinpointing of the details. And for games that have large soundscapes by default, like Battlefield games, it just sounds really decent out of the box. No need to enable THX, because I feel like the expansion of the soundstage is good, but then you kind of sacrifice on the very critical details that I don't prefer. Bluetooth performance with my Steam Deck has been flawless, and I will miss the days of having those portable, tiny USB receivers that you will still be able to plug into your portable devices, because the dongle on the V3 Pro has been beefed up for sure. I also love what Razer is doing with EQ settings inside Synapse, especially for game-specific equalizer presets. In CS2, for example, you can see where the jumping frequency lies, including the radio commands, and you can kind of configure this EQ profile depending on what you want to hear. I don't play Call of Duty, but this is what that looks like, and including Apex Legends or Fortnite, and all of these are saved directly on the headset, and you can cycle between them with that SmartSwitch. And when you switch it, we have an audible cue, but it just tells you esports 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, so you have to know what those mean inside Synapse. For the asking price of $249, I was expecting a way more seamless experience, but unfortunately, all these little issues with the microphone and trying to figure out different EQ settings to make it sound like the V2 Pro did, that just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And I think for competition, like the ROG Delta 2, a fantastic option, the Pro X2 Lightspeed, incredible sound quality, garbage microphone, but still awesome comfort, excellent battery life, and similar price to the V3 Pro. Now, battery life is rated at 70 hours, which is the same as the V2 Pro, and that's an improvement considering all the upgrades that have been built in here, especially with the ultra low latency Gen 2 connectivity. But how perceivable is that latency? I couldn't notice a difference versus any other headset that I've tried over the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years. I don't have the equipment to measure audio latency, but it is going to bring up some conversation, definitely in the space versus other brands too, where we might have this like latency war, not just on the gaming peripheral side with the mouse and keyboard, but on the audio side as well. And I'm all for that. But let me know if you agree. I'm Dmitry. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next video.